Hi, I'm Chuck Friedman, Director of Developer Advocacy at Akamai Technologies. Every day I get to work with people who are finding success on our platform and within our community. Come join me as we talk about the journey it took to get there and some insightful stories that they can share about their experience along the way. Welcome to the Developer's Edge. Hey everybody, welcome to the Developer's Edge. Today I'm super excited to talk to my colleague Josh Johnson at Akamai. Josh has a tremendous reputation of innovating, building some really inspiring code samples, invaluable to our customers, our company, and particularly to our developer community. So it's with great pleasure we welcome Josh Johnson to the Developer's Edge. Hey Josh.
Hey Chuck, thank you. It's good to be here today.
Oh, it's so good to be talking to you. When did you first start working with technology? How far back does it go in your career, or even further from there?
Definitely even before my career, so I started working with computers back when I was a kid, actually. Started doing a little bit of programming, probably in elementary school, if you could call it much programming, but just playing with BASIC and kind of what was on the computers at the time. Going from there, just seeing we could build with it, and not that I knew a whole lot about it, obviously, but it sparked some interest in development, sparked some interest in being able to work with computers and build programs, and continue that through as I got further along in school. In high school, I was actually on a robotics team. And so with that team, we built a robot that would compete at a competition, and lots of stuff were involved, all the way from mechanical building to programming. I, of course, focused more on the programming side. Other students had focused on different areas with the robot. But that was kind of my area that I was really interested in.
So Josh, you and I have talked about some of the great improvements that have been made of late to help with setup, particularly with the latest innovation at Akamai, which is around the edge workers and edge KV. And I know you're excited, and a lot of our team is. What do you see coming that you feel will bring about the most improvement and value, making our developers even more successful going forward?
I think the developer-focused approach that we're taking is, really exciting, and seeing that, that's really having the approach. The approach is really going to have some good benefits going forward here. So as far as our products go, you mentioned edge workers and edge KV. Being able to build your own code, having our customers build their own code that runs at the edge, and distributing that data across the edge so that it's right there at the users where they are with the edge compute. And so, I think that's very beneficial here. We talk about lots of use cases for that. Really being able to integrate that code and run code that runs across the CDN, across, I think, over 4,000 locations, whatever we're up to now. That number keeps increasing every time I look at it. But, be able to run that code that just runs globally without having to put that time and effort into building infrastructure and deploying infrastructure and configuring the scalability. It's just deploy the code and run it, and it works. And so, that's going to be really beneficial, or is really beneficial to the developers here, as that's been started up recently. I know there's a lot of improvements on the roadmap that I've seen come down the pipeline that's just going to take what we've already got and add more and more features to it, enable more and more customer use cases, and just expand even further the items that we're able to handle and the development that we're able to handle here at the edge.
In working with code, other people's code in particular, any pet peeves, anything that you see here that just says, this I need to fix this before I can actually help you or do what I need to do?
I think about anytime you look at code, there's always pet peeves that stick out, and you think of, why was it done this way? And I don't understand what they're doing. And half the time you realize, I wrote that code 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So I think as anyone as a developer, they've probably experienced that, of looking at that and, kind of that lens of, you're always learning. There's always best practices, and there's always reasons that kind of deviate from those best practices. And so, as you work with other people's code, you kind of understand over time that don't get frustrated at when people may not follow what you consider best practices, because there's usually reasons for it. Sometimes the reasons are simply they were learning. Sometimes the reasons are there were time constraints and time pressures. And sometimes, the reasons are there's some underlying either challenges or underlying unstated requirements that are present that they're kind of expressed through that code. And so I always like to look at that and kind of look deeper and say, well, why is the code written this way? And sometimes there is just a code that can be made, of improvements made to, but other times asking that question of why is the code written this way really kind of drives further and drives into those challenges and those requirements so that we can kind of take the next step there.
I'm really interested in a situation where you came in and something that you contributed to helped improve the situation for the customer.
Yeah, so I think one example I can point to recently was working with some customers that were needing to throttle bots. And so while we do the bot management solution, we can use that to manage bots to, for example, block bots, serve alternate responses, or deny them. What this customer really wanted to do was to look at the incoming traffic for a single bot, look at what was coming in globally across our entire platform, because some of these bots would operate not just from one IP address in one location where rate controls would detect that, but they would be operating from a very large number of locations with maybe a small amount of traffic each place that really adds up to a lot of traffic. And so we were able to work with the customer and figure out how to throttle the bots by looking across our other product suite and seeing that we also have products within API Gateway, for example. We have a product where we can throttle API responses based on API keys. Not really meant as a bot management solution, but we're able to kind of tie some of the best features of those two products together using Bot Manager to identify the bots, using the API Gateway's throttling functionality, tapping into that some to throttle the bot requests instead of throttling API traffic, and being able to tie that together and really build this integrated, I don't want to call it a product, but the integrated solution using multiple products together.
I just really want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me and be on the show and just share some great tips and guides and from your experience on what makes you passionate about what you do and how others can approach their projects. So thank you so much for being on with us today, and it's been really awesome to talk to you and getting to know you as well.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the kind words there.
Well, I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. If you like it and want to see more, please subscribe to the Akamai Developer channel, hit like, and you'll get notified when we have future episodes available. You can also browse our other developer content in series. Till next time, take care and see you soon.